Well, good morning to those of you in the UK. Good afternoon to those of you who are in Seoul or other parts of the world. We're delighted this morning to be able to host a session focusing on Seoul, not only as a financial centre, but really talking about its development as an industrial and technology centre, and the opportunities that exist within the Seoul and the Seoul area. And delighted to have with us Mr. Bonhi Gu, who is going to be taking the main part of the presentation today. He's the director of Invest Seoul, an organization set up to help companies understand the opportunities in Seoul and to bring their business to the city. Next slide. You probably know me. I'm Mike Wardle. I'm the CEO of the CN Group. And I'm the chair for today. My job is really to introduce and get out of the way, and so we can hear from Mr. Gu. The program is very simple. We have a sort of 20-minute presentation, and then 20 minutes available for discussion with the audience. For those of you who haven't used GoToWebinar before, the way that you pose a question or make a comment on the webinar is to type in your question using the questions box, which is available on your dashboard. So please do at any point during the presentation type in questions, and we'll moderate that and get to those at the end. The session is being recorded, so if you miss anything or you want to go back to it, or you think a colleague might be interested, we will be sharing the recording of the webinar on our website after the event. And it should be up in maybe 24, 48 hours, working hours that is. So without any further ado, just introduce Mr. Bonhi Gu, Director of Invest Seoul. Mr. Gu, the floor is yours.
Hello everyone. First of all, it's a great honor and a pleasure to meet you through the GWEN webinar. My name is Bonhi Gu, and I'm a Seoul Director of Invest Seoul. My organization is an investment promotion agency on behalf of the Seoul Metropolitan Government, so which was launched last February of this year. So today I will introduce you to the Seoul's business environment and the service we provide for international investors and entrepreneurs. So next slide. So here is the today's content. The first, I will start with a brief introduction of Seoul and South Korea and how this place is a perfect environment in attracting business, doing business in Seoul. And the second is a brand new vision of 2030 of Seoul Metropolitan Government. And the third one is about us. What do we do as Invest Seoul, as investment promotion agency of Seoul Metropolitan Government. Next slide. This slide shows the global innovation lead as Seoul and as South Korea. So South Korea has been named the most innovative country in the world, topping the 2021 Bloomberg Innovation Index. You can see the rankings of each category from the second position or the first position or the first position. So actually the Seoul has recorded #1 in patent activity and ranked the second position in R&D intensity, along with the value-added manufacturing. So the South Korea has ranked #1 in total for 8 consecutive years. Next slide. This shows the global innovation leader. Actually, in terms of relative to EU performance in 2021, South Korea is next to 2 big global innovation leaders. South Korea is the most innovative country, performing 21% above the EU average. You can see some chart which shows the EU average is put 100, the score 100, and the Japan is 102, and the United States is 106. Luckily, the South Korea is 121. So you can see how innovative a country South Korea is. Next slide. This is about the education. The left side of this slide, you can see there's some chart which shows the OECD college graduation rate in 25 to 34 age group. So South Korea is shows the 70%, and compare with other OECD countries like Canada or Japan or Ireland. Well, South Korea is more than those countries, and also the Seoul is ranked number 3 in the world and the number 1 in Asia when it comes to the best student cities index, also global urban talent competitiveness index, which shows the number 10 in overall. And Seoul is a mega city with a population of more than 10 million people. Next slide. So this is regarding the digitalized environment. The South Korea awarded the UNESCO NetExplore Linking Cities Award at the 2021 in contribution to reducing the digital gap between different generations during the COVID-19 era. And around 95% of the population has already possessed the smartphones and used the smartphones, which is much higher than any other countries. You can see the right side of the chart, how the South Korea performed when it comes to the usage of the smartphone populations. Next slide. This shows the global brand. So in the ranking of doing business, South Korea came in 5th out of the 190 countries. Therefore, the definitely leading global brands at the moment, including Samsung, or Hyundai, or LG. So Seoul has more than 70% of the world's largest corporate brands. Next slide. It is analyzed that Seoul has a rich corporate environment with 16 out of 18 unicorn companies in Korea currently located in Seoul. According to the 2022 startup genomes, Seoul came in the 10th and has reached the constant increase relating to startups and venture investment, and is valued to create $177 billion in ecosystem value. Additionally, startup genome cites excellent talent pipelines and high R&D investment amounts as a strength of Seoul. Next slide. This slide shows how the Seoul is leading the financial city. So according to the several statistics, Seoul has ranked number 2 from UIA's International Meeting Statistics report in 2021, and we were recorded the 5th largest metropolitan area in the world with a population of 26 million in the city. Actually, 26 million is more frankly speaking, is telling about the great Seoul. Inside of Seoul city, there's 10 million people live there, and the suburb of the Seoul area has another 16 million people is working and live there. So when you say the Great Seoul is 26 million people live in that area. So here's some one video containing charms of Seoul and the future vision for 2030.
Opportunity for the young, happy seeing the youth, synergetic soul. Feeling safer in everyday life, hey, see mine, safe for soul. Breathe of innovation, you with the exciting futuristic soul. Inspire the world through ambition and technology, leading global soul. Stand up for the world, Fair City Soul.
Okay, it's quite short. It's just 30 seconds of the video clip regarding the future image of the soul. This this slide shows the attractiveness of investing company in Seoul. So when any investors or the entrepreneurs make decision to doing a business in Seoul, those are using the advantages of the geographical and the large market size. So the left side of the number figures shows the total size of the economy, 331 billion US dollar, is for the Seoul. And I want to compare with the Finland GDP. The GDP of Finland is only $300 billion, so it's slightly bigger than the Finland GDP. And also the Seoul has the many attractive spots when it comes to the making decisions investing in Seoul. So next slide shows those things. This slide shows the Seoul Unicorn Ventures. These are the most symbolic 10 unicorns located in Seoul. As you can find on the screen, we have the market curly or the Yeroja WeMap or the Ridi Musinsa. Those the unicorn venture capitals, corporates were so competitive, and many foreign investors, including the PE, BC, and IBs, expect the startups for next generation leaders. With that demand, we try to explore the opportunities, and we have various support programs such as Demo Day, matching, and accelerating programs, and many more foreign investors who are willing to invest into Korean ventures. Next slide. Especially these three startups are some representative examples of those who are expected to be listed companies. The market currently is specialized for online food delivery. Soka is a car sharing startups like Uber, and the Yeroja is a leisure platform that provides online accommodation. It's quite popular among the Korean people to use this application when they are searching for the good accommodations or the good transportation. Next slide. We provide a support service for technology development, such as a new product development and technology upgrading research. So for the R&D, 300 small and medium-sized enterprises were selected, and 40 million US dollars R&D grants were awarded annually. 4,000 SMEs are getting IP protection consulting and registration annually. Next. This slide shows the Seoul business clusters. Seoul is a very densely populated city. Just before I said to you, the 10 million people lived here, and aside of the Seoul, there's another 60 million population is there. So it's a very densely populated. So, and also the 90% of companies were service-based companies because of the much of the population. So you can see the 7 industry clusters from IT to bio on this slide. Each of them has their own strengths. The Y Valley is the IoT and the drone clusters. And the Yeouido-Mapo area is famous for the financial cluster. The Magok is the R&D cluster. There are more than 1,200 companies is there, and around 100,000 employees, including global companies such as Lotte, LG, is there. And the G-Valley is the IoT cluster also, and has around 10,000 companies and 150,000 employees are working there. It is the area for promising small-size venture companies. The Hongneung is the bio cluster, has around 5,200 doctoral level researchers. It is the complex of university, hospitals, and the research centers. Also, the Yangtze and the Susa is the famous for each industries. Next slide. This is the chapter for the Vision 2030 Seoul. So actually, you can see the two big words. The one is the global leadership, and the second one is the future vibes. I will tell the more detailed things. The next slide. Oh, slide is already changed. So Seoul is the place of global leadership. Seoul is now one of the top 5 global cities where talented individuals gather, business prosper, and people from all around the world visit. So we want to be in at the year of the 2030. We want to make the Seoul as Asia's economic hub, the city of industrial innovation, and the city of startups, and the city of cultural tourism. This is the symbolizing the global leadership, I think. Next slide. Seoul has numerous potentials. With the 2,000 years of history, culture, and art, the city enriches people's lives while leading the global with the smart technology. So that is the future vibes. Next. Now I want to talk about my organization. Actually, from the beginning, I already told you that this organization is run and launched by the Seoul Metropolitan Government. So Invest Seoul is aiming the foreign investors and the entrepreneurs wishing to do business in Seoul. So actually, it was launched in February this year to make Seoul a more attractive global business city with abundant investment opportunities. Starting with the institutions management, performance status presented this year, and the future development plan will be followed. Next slide. Here is the some of the core service Invest Seoul provides. Invest Seoul is consisted by 3 teams, which are investment strategy team, investment marketing team, and the global corporate team. Next. First of all, Invest Seoul establishes short and medium-term strategies for attracting investment in Seoul through activities related with the networking and the promotion. Invest Seoul conducts a systematic promotion to strengthen their brand identity. We operate the support, the networking consulting for related investment institutions, include KCCI, Kotra, Investor Korea, and foreign investment related institutions such as WIPA. When foreign investors and the companies visit Seoul, we provide information on the Seoul industrial ecosystem and the support online and offline meeting with the interested Seoul companies. And this will include the visit to Seoul's major industrial clusters. just before I said to you the 7 clusters, and the meetings with the domestic entrepreneurs, investors, and industry specialists. Next slide. This is another function we are doing at this moment. We provide a closed-knit networking by establishing a pool of new investors in Seoul to achieve its desired outcomes. To name a few, it identifies and matches investors by diversifying investment and network channels and operating a global investment group. This includes expansion of investor networks such as overseas, VCs, and the financial sectors like IB and PE. Also, it hosts both IR associated with global partnerships and the Investor Seoul Day. This will attract and strengthen the investment networks through partner cooperation by overseas industries and business clusters. Next slide. We also identified the promising investment companies by increasing contact frequency between companies and the foreign investors. And we provide a constant online IR and meetups. Not only that, but we also support global companies to invest in Seoul by providing a differential incentive package, such as all-in-one program, which can be more practical support for investment execution, service expense for incorporation, capital increase, and consulting on labor, accounting, or taxing will be covered under this package. Also, the office rent and the relocation fees are subsidized. Next. By the end of 2030, Seoul Metropolitan Government has aimed to attract $30 billion in foreign investment. The amount of foreign investment attraction has increased from 3.7 billion KRW to 108 billion Korean won last year. Also, the number of investment attractions support and the recipient companies for the second half of 2022 is expected to increase. Therefore, we are expecting to strengthen domestic and overseas awareness of Investor Seoul. Second is strengthen investment and marketing for Seoul. And lastly, expand the foreign investment attraction through systematic discovery of promising companies. Next. Finally, the Investor Seoul, we are aiming for continuous growth as an institution that specializes in attracting investment. To achieve our goal, we are setting up a strategy to a medium-term investment attraction by focusing on areas like a future core technology and the new growth industries. Second, we are targeting overseas funds who are interested in investing in Seoul-based companies. And finally, we are ready to make a transition to become a Seoul Metropolitan Government funded agency. So at the moment, we are not a funded agency, but by the end of 2024, we will finish the transition process, and therefore reinforcing employee expertise to discover and match more investors. Okay, next slide. So this is the final page of this presentation. So for the international entrepreneurs and the businessmen who are interested in doing business in Seoul, my organization, the Investor Seoul, is the first and the right place to contact. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Gu. We have a bit of time for discussion and questions. I'm going to start off, it really came very strongly out of your presentation that Seoul prides itself on innovation. Could you give us some comment about the kind of the links between innovation and the technology clusters that you described on one of the slides, where you have particular industries focused in different places? Is there a link between those clusters and innovation?
Well, Seoul is providing a variety of supporting to become the most innovative city. So, for instance, among Seoul business clusters, Magok cluster is set up for discovering promising startups in the IT, BT means the biotechnology and green technology and the nanotechnology fields. So incentively nurturing them. Also, the selected companies move in for 1 year, in addition to the independent office space and the convenience of facilities. It receives various support programs such as consulting, education, and investment attraction, and overseas expansions. So facility usage fees was to set to a minimum within a range that does not impede the growth of the company. So those the supporting programs is quite effective for the startups and also the foreign investors who want to have some starting their business in Seoul.
I was lucky enough to be in Seoul when the FinTech Lab was opened, and part of the celebrations of the opening, and I know that's expanded since its opening. But it's good to know there's other ways in which startups can be helped. I was thinking about the audience who might be thinking about investment in Korea, and where do you think the scope for foreign investment mainly lies? Is it infrastructure, startups, venture capital, or other sectors? You know, where's the most likely place that investors will be looking to invest in Seoul?
Seoul was selected as the 10th best startup city in the world. It means that the highest rank for Seoul on record, and the Seoul ecosystem value was estimated to reach $177 billion US. So the Seoul's global startup ecosystems for the first time is a result of Seoul's continuous efforts to create innovative startup environment and the cooperative efforts by participants. So Seoul will continue to build a startup ecosystem by fostering future talents, creating a welcoming environment for the investors, and supporting promising companies' overseas market expansion to create the 40 global unicorns with the goal of making Seoul one of the top 5 economies by 2030.
Thank you. We have a question from the audience, noting that you listed around 10 unicorns in Seoul, and just wondering what kind of volumes of venture capital deals are you seeing into Seoul on an annual basis? Is it large numbers or small numbers at the moment?
Actually, we can see the increase of the numbers, but the last two years we are experiencing the COVID-19 years. Actually, everybody in the world also experiencing those slowdown of any numbers when it comes to the investing. But I strongly believe that that those numbers can be doubled. Actually, I'm expecting that those numbers are doubled within a couple of years, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Just a question really about how Seoul makes it easy or easier for overseas companies to operate in the area. You've talked about startup support, but if a larger company, established company, wanted to set up business in Seoul, how does Seoul help in that process?
For foreign invested businesses that have a positive impact on the Seoul economy, the Seoul metropolitan government provides the various benefits with incentives, including cash grants and the tax exemption. Sorry. Especially the Seoul is the only local government in Korea that offers employment subsidy and education and the training subsidies in consideration of the employment scale and the impact on the development of the local economy.
Super, thank you. Another question this time from Henry Tillman in the audience, just talking about green energy outbound investments. And he's wondering which countries are the places which Seoul exports green energy in particular, and whether there's any investment from Seoul into the UK.
Well, at the moment, I don't have any specific figures regarding the green energy investment, but I will check that from my data after this discussion, and I will send that answers to the person who asked there.
That's fine.
Okay? Yeah.
That's absolutely fine. Yeah, so we can put you in touch with Henry after the event.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess a big question is for international investors: how do you position yourselves in Seoul compared to your international competitors, such as Tokyo or Singapore, or for manufacturing, maybe places like Bangladesh, Vietnam?
Well, Seoul's strengths include the world-class ICT infrastructure, so highly educated workforce, and the digital finance friendly infrastructure, combined with the real economy based on the manufacturing and the services. So regarding the figures of the financial center index, Seoul was ranked 12th. It shows the financial competitiveness, how Seoul can become the next Asian financial hub. So the currently, and in addition that currently the Singapore or the Hong Kong is the more attractive currently. But the last week I went to the Singapore for the business trip, and I found that even though the Seoul is a little bit the less attractive than the Singapore, but I found that we can use some opportunities to remove any regulations or the useless the guidelines of by the government. So after that, we can overcome the Singapore or the Hong Kong, I think.
Well, it's certainly true that financial centers are both in competition, but also collaboration and learning from each other, as we often say. Next question is really about whether you have examples of companies that successfully moved into Seoul, and what were the key factors that made that a success, both for Seoul and for the company. What are the things that make Seoul different?
Well, participation to a variety of IRs and exhibition has led Invest Seoul to our success. So networking is a great way to identify business best practice or industry benchmarks. So learning from what others do is a valuable strategy for all business. And so we are organizing a big event like the marketplace for the foreign investor and the domestic investors, and also the more qualified and competitive Seoul companies are gathering together. Coming November, we will have the 2 days of a big event. So the many foreign investors want to check the feasibility of the investing the opportunities for these solar companies. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I guess that you know, we've all heard that there's been some floods in Seoul this week, so we send our very best wishes to all of you. But I think for all of us, climate change is a big shift. And I'm just wondering how Invest Seoul is able to focus on green and sustainability as part of its efforts.
Well, actually, the sustainable green industry and sustainability is the urgent agenda for all countries, and also the Seoul metropolitan government is more focusing on those industries to build up the ecosystem of those industries, and also we are more focusing on those industries by providing the incentives or any advantageous policy. So those efforts will lead Seoul is more greener and more the cleaner, I think, make the Seoul as a more cleaner and greener city. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Kareem in the audience has said good morning and good afternoon, and wondered whether there are preferred vendor partners recommended for assisting with localization, culturalization, and the onboarding process in terms of integration of foreign businesses. So are there currently preferred partners with Seoul Metropolitan Government who can help companies with that acclimatization to doing business in Korea?
Actually, the Seoul Metropolitan Government and the Invest Seoul is selecting the more qualified and the more competitive companies who want to receive the foreign investing money as their capital. So we are selecting every year. We are selecting 100 core companies, and we in this program we are giving some consultation process, and also those companies have chance to meet the foreign investors periodically, and also we are giving some teaching process how to represent their abilities to the others. So those program is very helpful to scale up those companies. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Jochen Biedermann is on the line. He's who leads the World Alliance of International Financial Centers. And together with ourselves and the Dubai International Finance Center, WAFC produced a paper recently on the future of financial centers. And one of the key messages of that was that cooperation between places, between centers, is important to secure financial center growth. And so just wondering whether Invest Seoul, as part of its work, has plans to intensify cooperation with other regional or international financial centers.
Well, we are closely working together with the other institutions to make the Seoul as a global financial center. So we continuously communication with the foreign institutions which were related to those areas. Mm-hmm.
And any particular, you mentioned you traveled to Singapore, for example.
Yeah.
And just wondered, is there good relationships between the Monetary Authority of Singapore, for example, and the institutions in Seoul? And would you expect that to increase over time?
Well, during the Singapore trip, I met with the Singapore Exchange, the guys of the Singapore Exchange, and also I met with the person from the Enterprise Singapore. Actually, the Enterprise Singapore is almost similar when it comes to the function of our agency. So we had a much common point to collaborate each other. So those things is a good example for working together as an institution.
That's super. Now we're just coming to the end of the session. So just wondering whether you had any final message for the audience before we close the webinar.
Well, it's a very great honor to introduce the Seoul Metropolitan Government and the Seoul's vision, and also the Invest Seoul's function. So when anyone who have some interest in Seoul, or anyone who want to start your business in Seoul, please contact us. We are the best solution. We are the right place, the right place for starting your business in Seoul. We will give all our supporting programs to you freely. So this is my message from as an Investor Seoul. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Mr. Gu. It's been a really interesting session. Got some real insight into where Seoul is heading and the vision for the next decade. If we were live in an audience, of course, we'd be able to give you a round of applause. We can't do that today. So you have to make do with a very small round of applause to thank you for your time and your interest. People in the audience who wish to get in touch with Mr. Gu, we can put you in touch if you would like that. And please do ensure that you take advantage of the potential to understand what's happening in Seoul through getting in touch. That's all for today. Thank you to Mr. Gu. Thank you for your attendance, and we will see you again soon at a future event. Thank you very much.